Thank you for taking the quiz. By now you've read some of the general results, and I'm going to give you now your specific result, which is that you are a savorer. And what does that mean? I'm going to refer to my notes to make sure I get it 100%. As a savorer, let's start with the metaphor of light in a room. If we think of that, you are like a dimmer switch, knowing when to light up and when to dial down. So among all of the categories, you are the most balanced, most embodied, present, and nourished by pleasure. So that's great. The savorer is somebody who knows what they enjoy and finds pleasurable. You likely indulge in those things on a consistent basis, but not all at once or in a dependent or dominating way. Nor is pleasure seeking something that you necessarily do to avoid dealing with frustration, discomfort, or confusion. So you're not really using it as just this escape to numb or distract or close down in a really self-reliant manner. For you, although that might happen from time to time, really for you, leaning into life's pleasures is more about expansion, awakening, enjoying, really being kind of alive. And that's also a wonderful thing. Among all of the categories, you are probably the most likely to be thriving in those two conditions that I mentioned in the general results, which are that you're probably most likely to be good at being connected to the language of your body and knowing how to regulate yourself pretty well, as well as giving yourself permission, mental permission, to receive pleasure as a birthright, as a human, and to do so without guilt. Now, despite the tendency towards being balanced, you're still a human being living in the modern world, which can be very chaotic and crazy. And so, of course, we all get thrown off from time to time and need a little support to get back on track. For example, you could have the intention to be emotionally and physically regulated, but you might struggle to always manifest it, which is completely normal. But when this happens, my suggestions are, be sure to look at what is getting in the way. Is it hard for you to prioritize self-care? Is there something that you might need to say no to in order to create the conditions to say yes to some other things that can bring in balance? And also I would say, given that our modern world can leave even the most balanced person a little too stuck in their head sometimes, over-relying on their thinking mind to solve everything, what I try to say is that that's a lot to ask of our mind, right? And it's really just not possible because our mind can't go into the past or the future to prevent something or to undo something. But what we do have is the very present moment reality of our body. So what I would suggest is that you really look at the raw data of your body and how it's responding to your moment by moment environment, and really use the tools of bodyfulness that I explain in my book that are based on a lot of somatic body-based methods of therapy, and use those to go straight to the source in your body to soothe, to release, to discharge older traumas and current stressors, just so it doesn't really build up or block you from your natural tendency to be more balanced and connected to life's pleasures. Another thing to consider when you get out of balance is, are the storylines in your head, are they really old stories? Are these old messages that are preventing you from really living the truth of your life now? So maybe some old stories from what you learned as a child. Maybe you learned that asking for what you wanted and asking for pleasures of different kinds meant you were bad. Or maybe there were manipulative strings attached when you did go after getting what you wanted. So that's another thing to look at. But to help you continue to stay in balance, I suggest the following mantra. Pleasure is my life force energy. Pleasure is my life force energy. Now, to find any more suggestions and tools and resources, and to continue to stay on balance and living your pleasure potential, I suggest you get my book, The Pleasure is All Yours, Reclaim Your Body's Bliss and Reignite Your Passion for Life. You can also find me at drrachelallen.com. All right, thank you so much. The pleasure was all mine.